Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit with another episode of What Are We Eating? Most of you, the people, may or may not know the delicious, easy to make, comforting casserole dish made with ground beef that most of us Americans call shepherd's pie is not really shepherd's pie. It's a cottage pie. Shepherd's pie is made with ground lamb or ground mutton. Cottage pie is made with ground beef. But I do know there's a lot of people that make it with ground turkey or ground chicken. Besides the type of meat you use, it's basically the same dish. Ground meat with gravy, with or without vegetables. I like vegetables in mine. And then everything's finally topped off with mashed potatoes, and most people I know do the same as I do and add some sort of grated cheese on top. Once everything's put together, it's baked to golden brown deliciousness. Whether you're making a cottage pie or a shepherd's pie, they're very easy to make. But as usual, some people want the convenience of heat and eat meals. So now they can have it, with great values, shepherd's pie, which is really a cottage pie. Obviously, I got this from Walmart. This 32-ounce meal costs $7.98. It's not a bad price at all, if it's any good. Great Value's shepherd's pie is made with beef in a hearty sauce with vegetables topped with mashed potatoes. There are very few simple ingredients. Believe it or not, every single ingredient in here is something most people already have in their kitchen. Maybe with the exception of dried orange pulp. But I know my daughter's left oranges out on the counter that you could definitely consider dried orange pulp. I'm definitely very impressed with the ingredients. It just shows frozen food doesn't have to be full of garbage and preservatives. There's 5 1-cup servings per container. Per serving, there's 190 calories, 10 grams of total fat, 4 grams of saturated fat, 0.5 grams of trans fat, 35 milligrams of cholesterol, 520 milligrams of sodium, 15 grams of carbohydrates, 2 grams of fiber, 2 grams of sugars, and 10 grams of protein. So let's get this out of the box, see what it looks like, and get it heated up. Straight out of the box, it looks like a tray of mashed potatoes. There's only one recommended way of heating this up, and that's in the middle rack of a preheated 400-degree oven with the plastic cover still in place for 55 minutes. After baking for 55 minutes in a 400-degree oven, remove the plastic seal and bake for another 10 to 15 minutes or until it reaches an internal temperature of 165 and the top is nice and golden brown. After cooking for a total of 1 hour and 10 minutes and resting for another 5 minutes, our Great Value shepherd's pie is ready, and it looks and smells great. Let's cut into the pie, scoop out a good-sized serving, and see if it's any good or not. It looks like it's holding together nicely so far. It's not supposed to come out perfect, but I saw some pictures online that look like soup. So far, so good. There's a little ground beef, corn, and peas hiding down there. The gravy looked pretty good. This actually looks like it turned out really good. Nothing like the pictures I saw online. I really wanted to try that nice golden brown crispy crust, but I didn't want to tear up the serving just yet. So I took what it gave me for now. The look of those mashed potatoes made me very leery. I thought they looked more like cream of wheat than they did mashed potatoes. Very, very watery. And that's about all I got on that first forkful was watery potatoes. They sure didn't look good and the texture was extinct. But they didn't taste too bad. I tried to go after that crispy crust one more time, but it still didn't want to come. And I didn't want to tear it apart. So I went to the other side and took a bite. I loaded up this time with ground beef, peas, corn, gravy, and mashed potatoes. I've got to be honest with you, the people. The mashed potatoes looked a whole lot worse than they tasted. But the texture is as bad as it looks. The big bite of everything together was really tasty. The gravy was rich and savory. The meat was all meat and nothing but meat, no fillers. And the vegetables were also good. Now, it was time to get some of that crispy part of the mashed potatoes, whether I tore it up or not. And I was hoping it tasted as good as it looked, because it looked really good. And it did indeed. It was delicious and worth the wait. When I opened it up a little bit more, I saw there were some carrots in there as well, which now that I knew they were in there, I could taste their sweetness. Even with the mashed potatoes not being very creamy or thick at all, I was really enjoying this. And it looked pretty good, didn't it? On that last bite, as I was chewing, I found a few surprises. A couple really hard pieces of gristle. It's definitely not the end of the world, but not what most people want to bite into. So here's my thoughts on the Great Value's wrongly named shepherd's pie. It was pretty good. If the potatoes had more texture and were somewhat creamy, it would have been really good. The overall flavor was pretty darn tasty. The vegetables were good, not mushy at all. The gravy was delicious, rich and savory. The meat was all meat and nothing but meat, no fillers. The gristle is what happens when you cook with real meat, so it doesn't bother me at all, but it may bother other people. But the very short list of very simple ingredients really impressed me. So with all of this said, even with the loose mashed potatoes, I'm giving Great Value's shepherd's pie a 7 out of 10. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.